The number of votes cast for each candidate was as follows. Chris Bryant, 213. Sir Lindsay Hoyle, 325. Sir Lindsay Hoyle has obviously secured more than 50% of the ballots cast. I invite Sir Lindsay Hoyle to take the chair of the House.
No clapping, yeah.
So Sir Lindsay Hoyle of the Labour Party has been elected Speaker of the House. This was actually quite an interesting little thing that happened yesterday. And I say thing because it is a bit of an election, but it happens in the Commons. Yesterday there were several rounds, many delays and a fair amount of procedure, overseen by the Father of the House and soon-to-be retiring Ken Clarke. If he gets a peerage, I will not be surprised. During this, each candidate made a speech for 5 minutes, and over, I think it was 5 rounds, all candidates were eliminated. Now, one of the favourites, I believe, was Harriet Harman, but actually she was eliminated, I think she finished 4th or 5th. She really didn't do as well as I thought. Part of me believed it was not because she wasn't popular, but because of her very patronising attitude towards guys. And since the Chamber has a lot of those, it alienated a fair share of the politicians. But it can also be agreed upon that I don't believe she stood much of a chance, with Chris Bryant putting forward quite a clever set of terms, things he would want to do, being a very people person-oriented guy, and Sir Lindsay Hoyle, who has 9 years' experience as the Deputy Speaker. His 9 years' experience speaks volumes about his service to the House. And the fact that I think with that kind of voice that he has, which you heard when he said no clapping, a very northern accent, it makes him a very warm and welcoming person, which also helps. So I think in this context, we all knew experience was going to win, but I did think it would either be Bryant or Harman. I got that wrong. But to be fair, I didn't know Hoyle was running. I really should have paid more attention to that. Now, as far as what you just saw goes, the procedure, after the Father of the House read the result, it is customary for that politician who has been elected the Speaker to be physically dragged to the chair. That's not even a joke. They are dragged to the chair. You saw it. It happened when Bercow won, and every time he was re-elected, it literally happens as an old procedure, almost like they're trying to fight it. I like it. It's a tradition that should stay. Going forward, though, Sir Lindsay Hoyle has to resign his membership to the Labour Party, which is 100% understandable. He has to do that because his job now is to remain neutral, and to do so he must forfeit ties to any side in the political spectrum that he holds. He knows this well enough, as his time as Deputy Speaker, he knew if he won this would happen. Of course, if Parliament is getting prorogued on Wednesday, he won't have much to do between now and then. But we might get a PMQs with him as our Speaker. He is not as articulate as that of John Bercow, with the chuntering from sedentary position term and take a soothing medicament quotes, all being renowned for being things that Bercow said. So Lindsay Hoyle is not as articulate because he doesn't need to be. He can shout, and he has done in the past when the House has been singing, something which was referenced in the congratulatory speeches by the SNP who were singing a song once and he shouted at them. It was quite funny. I will say a hearty congratulations to him. He is a nice guy, and I do want to see how well he does. Not sure how long for, but it will be very interesting to see going forward what he accomplishes. Hopefully he'll honour his pledges. I do think some of the ideas brought forward by Chris Bryant should be implemented. For example, the 30-minute Prime Minister's questions, because I believe only 15 minutes are dedicated to the exchanges over the dispatch box. I think Chris Bryant wants to increase that so we get more questions from people like Corbyn, which I am 100% in favour of. And to give a little context, to better understand who he is, he was elected into office in 1997 during the time of Tony Blair, winning the seat of Chorley with a majority of 7,500 votes. He has been chair of Ways and Means and was elected so on June the 10th. This was the first time the appointment was done by ballots rather than nomination of the Leader of the House. He has actually, as Deputy Speaker, received wide acclaim for his handling of some rather controversial events, including budget proceedings in 2013, for telling off the SNP for singing the European anthem during the vote of the Brexit bill in the House of Commons, for having a rather heated exchange with Alex Salmond, former SNP leader, First Minister, I think, in Scotland, and then SNP Member of Parliament, over whether or not he cut off an SNP MP while speaking. He also called on social media companies to take swifter action on what were deemed to be offensive posts that had been deterring Jewish and Muslim women from becoming MPs. Don't care about that so much, but only because I don't care what your faith is. He was the Speaker of the House during the terrorist attack on Westminster in 2017. He has actually had a pretty good career, and his voting record isn't too bad. So I am quite interested to see what he now does as full-time Speaker for however long he does it for. Notice here, if it was Harriet Harman, honestly, we'd be having a much different discussion. Chris Bryant, Lindsay Hoyle, or Sir Lindsay Hoyle, appointed Knight Bachelor in 2018, no less. It is a case that Harriet Harman is a far more controversial figure. Perhaps I'll do a profile on her